Good afternoon, everybody. Get you some injury updates in a sec, but proud of our team. Different kind of resiliency and kind of determination, especially on a day with how it went. And I thought the Cardinals played a really good football game, especially offensively and defensively. We had to overcome some things and make some in-game adjustments that I thought were pretty vital, not only schematically, but just how we had to play the game to find a way to win it. And I want to highlight Sam, played fantastic and really has now for the better part of, really since we left Jacksonville with a lot of things that we thought we could, show some improvement on and get back to being who Sam's been for us. Most of the year he's played really good football. I'm really proud of him, but just his journey over these last 2-3 weeks, putting in a lot of hard work and continuing to, kind of grow throughout his in-season journey this year has been really cool to watch. Heck of a challenge with Atlanta coming in. You got a ton of respect for Raheem. Very few coaches I respect as much as Raheem Morris, and got a chance to coach with him. Get to know him and love the person and a dynamic leader. And I know he's going to have his football team ready to go. Kirk and all those weapons that we've got to try to defend on offense is going to be a challenge. And I think they've got some really good players on the defensive side. So another week, a new challenge, and a well-coached team that's going to come in here and play well. So we've got to continue to find ways to improve. And there's plenty of things off of yesterday that we all can do better. But it's good to have those conversations here on December 2nd with our 10th win under our belt, and a lot to kind of make sure we're continuing to hunt and chase here moving forward. Gilly did get a low-grade kind of hamstring that caused him to not return. Still getting some evaluations on what that looks like. I do not believe it is a longer-term injury, and I'm not quite ready to rule him out for this week. Want to see how he kind of feels as we work through it. But I did think Fabian played really well. Calm, veteran presence that came into the game, played solid, and we'll go from there. Will Reichert and Andrew DePaula will both have their windows opened up. Get them some work together. Not only Will getting swings, but Depot and Ryan and Will working back together again and see where those guys are at as we move forward through the week. But want to get those guys back around the team practicing, and then Josh Oliver expecting to play this week and think he'll have a somewhat normal practice week, and we'll get J.O. ready to roll, and that'll be a huge lift to get him back offensively.
Hey, Kevin, at corner, would you expect any needed roster moves if Gilmore can't go, or would you guys roll with who you have?
I think we'll kind of cross that bridge as we go here, knowing that we've got Nudie on the practice squad, or I should say Dwight McLaughlin. But we've got him at any point in time that we have a lot of confidence in, not only in the present, but I think he's going to be a heck of a player moving into the future. And so we'll see if it's him, or if there's possibly another name or a player out there that we think gives us a chance to possibly come in here and have a chance to have an impact. But I don't know at this time if it's going to be a roster spot worthy. I don't believe it's going to be a roster spot kind of conversation where the short-term IR would be a conversation. So more than likely we'll work through that here in the next couple days.
Kevin, was lining up just in the backfield part of the plan going in, or was that something you got to over the course of the game?
We had some different variations with him either being in the backfield, motioning there, motioning out, just as some kind of things that we have at our disposal, and depending on kind of how the game materializes from a standpoint of soft zone, maybe we can get him some easy touches and a good chance to kind of get a drive starter feel, especially on that last drive, to know we could get off to a good start in that drive, get him a touch, and then get on the ball from there. I thought the defense being able to keep them out of the end zone on that last drive, and us knowing that we had to go get a touchdown there allowed us to have kind of a 4-down mentality, which allowed us to be aggressive and kind of sequence up some calls. And total credit to Justin, Sam. I thought Jordan made some huge plays. The pockets were really good. Offense came together when we needed it to try to win the game.
Kevin, when you teach quarterbacks, you work with them, and the value of not throwing interception versus making big plays.
Yeah.
What's that like? How do you teach somebody? You know, Sam obviously has a bad day when he throws the picks against Jacksonville yesterday. He ate it a couple times on sacks and stuff.
Yeah.
How do you teach that?
Yeah, not a ton different. A little bit more pressure from the Cardinals, but a lot of split safety, a lot of trying to overlap bodies from different areas to get in windows, where they thought Justin would be. Especially for some of his kind of on-the-move routes, we were able to kind of thread the needle on some static-type routes where Justin did a great job coming back to some footballs in the intermediate area. But I thought that was a great example, and I'm glad you asked. Just the growth from a few weeks back to yesterday, where we find a way not to turn that ball over in some times where maybe there were some shots. There, we might have had a chance on Justin on a dagger cut in the first half. We might have had a chance on a couple other plays, but just the overall poise, decision-making. I thought Sam was incredibly strong with the football a couple times there, 2 hands on it, kind of getting out from, some late conflict in the pocket and at least getting us 2 to 3 yards, 4 yards on a scramble, getting us back to the line of scrimmage, giving us an op to not go backwards or turn the football over. I thought he managed it really well on a day where it was tough, and they had, we had a couple protection kind of missed assignments for some free runners. They got us on another one, with a good scheme, and we had to kind of overcome it with a little bit different mentality there in the second half to ensure we could move it and get points.
I'm sure you've played enough close games in the last couple of years. I'm just curious, what does a close game require from you as a coach and from Sam as a quarterback to make the difference in those moments?
Yeah, I don't think any of them are, really created equally. I mean, sometimes I can think back to my mindset versus Jacksonville. It was a close game. We hadn't scored a touchdown, and I, made a decision to try to win the game a certain way. And yesterday was clearly different. Down 13 points late in the third quarter. Just deciding that it was time to go try to kind of hit the gas and go get that game and allow our guys to have a few more volume opportunities, and you do that by just calling more things, more pass concepts, different variations. But I think we ended up, including the kneel down, I think maybe we ended up with 53 plays. So, and a good chunk of those coming, in that last sequence of drives there, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, where we kind of had to go get the game. That really wasn't one where the Cardinals, because they were very well coached with a good plan, that was not going to be one we were going to be able to tiptoe into trying to find a way to win. And there's incredible growth opportunities in those moments. There's learning opportunities of how we got in that situation in the game. But either way, I'm going to always try to make the best decision that I think gives us a chance to win those games. That's kind of been my philosophy since we've got here, and ultimately have the team prepared for the situational aspects of what it's going to take to win the game in those close games. And credit to our players. They've, I can't tell you how many times I look back on these close games, and I think my poise and comfort in those situations is a product of the work put in and also my confidence level in the team.
People talk a lot about the close games and say a team's strength or a team's legitimacy is based on margin victory and loss and that kind of stuff. How do you look at that when there's more close games than ever in the league?
Well, I do look at it like, the margin of victory tells some sort of story on your team. But I do know that, you stack a whole bunch of one-score wins together and you don't have any lopsided losses, your margin of victory is going to be at a good number for the season. And that means you've played somewhat consistent. I think there's going to be ebbs and flows and trying to overcome different unique things that come up from an injury standpoint. I do think this, no matter how much people see logos and teams and who's who and historically what they've been, none of that matters. And it's a matchup league. It's how your 11 are going to play against that particular 11 that day. What's the schemes? Who wins a sequence of downs that maybe shrinks the game or only gives you 50 plays, or maybe you get 82 plays and you end up winning a different way. But nonetheless, it's about having more points than the opponent when it's over. And then the really good teams that win close games continuously learn from those victories, and they don't just come in today and say we're 10-2. Congratulations to everybody. Like, I'm looking at it like we're 10-2. with our best football still out in front of us. And my goal from really, the beginning of the offseason last year was to try to get to a place where when we did get to December, we were playing, with a chance to, be peaking and still improving. And there's certainly an opportunity for our team to do that.
Have you paid attention to Kirk's journey this year and the way he's played and the ups and downs there? And what have you thought of what you've seen?
Yeah, I think I got a chance to watch him. I can't remember if it was Thursday night or Sunday or Monday. I just remember getting to watch him in Philly when he went and got that win, and looked like the guy that had won a lot of close games coming from behind with us. But outside of that, this will be really my first time diving in and getting to see some of the tape of what Zach's doing on offense. And I just know they've got a lot of really good players. I think Bijan is a really, really good running back. I think between the receivers and Pitts, and I think they do a good job up front with a play style, kind of, theoretically a wide zone kind of play style where they're running off the ball and still being physical. And then Zach is, I've worked, for 2 years, I worked really closely with Zach every single day. One of the smarter guys I've been around in this league, has an unbelievable way about him as a former quarterback that I always respected. So I just know that it's going to be a challenge. Kirk's going to come in here and play well and lead that offense, and we've got to find a way to play really good defense and try to limit their ops, especially to be explosive, to possess the football, and try to play complementary to our defense with how we play on offense.
Kevin Aaron Jones was talking about how much it meant to him that you came to him in mid-game and said, hey, we're going back to you after you.
Yeah.
Like that immediate confirmation, and that he kind of wanted to go back because of that in part. How important with your communication style is to do that with a guy that's been around the block like that?
Yeah, I believe it. I said it a few weeks back. I'm not having those conversations in those moments out of anything other than it's, what I'm authentically feeling, and I want the player to know. So if it does allow him to go play with a quieted mind and have confidence to go make that last play, great. But either way, if I'm going to tell him great job, as I have a lot of this year when he's played great for us for most of the year, I better be there to tell him that my confidence level is not lacking in any way, shape, or form when maybe it doesn't go our way. I just think that that's how leaders should operate, and if you've got true belief and authentic belief, with all the time we've spent together preparing to try to win these football games, just because it doesn't go our way, it doesn't mean we get to stomp our feet and, be different in those moments, because I think that would be something that our players would recognize. And it's his birthday, by the way, today. Met with him a little bit ago to wish him a happy birthday. And he's been a huge part of our team, both in this building, on the field. A couple tough plays there, but when we had to have it, Aaron Jones made the play. Simple as that.
Going back to the film, that throw Sam made to Jordan on the sideline, and then the one to Justin between two defenders. What impressed you most about those two throws and some of what he did down the stretch? Yeah,
kind of the one to Jordan up and over was the rare kind of play repeat. I had actually called it early on in the game. It's not breaking news, but I have not been a habitual play repeater during my time as a play caller. But I felt like we had kind of, possibly, maybe forced some adjustments on how they were maybe defending the flat area. So I wanted to see if we could get that up and over what would now be an on-the-ball kind of dropping linebacker instead of a cloud corner. And Sam, the way he turned that thing loose and perfect up and down trajectory to it, I thought it was a huge throw. And the maybe the most critical throw all game was that kind of deep curl to Justin, where he kind of thread the needle like you talked about, because that immediately went from a backed up situation where, some people may be looking at how do I force a manageable third down by playing safe. He felt the void, his back foot hit, and he turned it loose. And that kind of goes back to a previous question where it's, if it's built around principles of attacking voids and vacancies and knowing my arm talent to be able to turn the ball loose with great timing and some anticipation, by all means, if there's some learning ops that come from that, so be it. But it's the decisions where in your mind it did not feel clean. It did not feel the way that it should at the top of your drop. And that split-second decision, which for the most part I thought he did a phenomenal job handling those moments all day. There might have been one where we tried a ball down the middle to Speedy in the high red where just wasn't a great presentation, wasn't a great call by me, and kind of felt that moment where that ball just kind of came up, and that'll be something we talk about today, just because, you know, don't allow me giving you a bad play there, or, you know, us anticipating more pressure on that look and only having 3 eligibles out. Don't allow me to force you to, you know, step outside the confines of playing really good quarterback play, because I certainly don't want to be the reason why that happens.
I'm sure you would. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
On Sam's 12-yard scramble, like after the game, Justin had joked about how he would rather Sam throw the ball, but he'll always block for him, like if he does scramble.
Yeah.
But what does that say about Justin, just kind of as a leader, that he, you know, is the top receiver and is willing to block like that to make sure Sam gets?
Yeah, I actually have to, full disclosure, I saw Sam leaving the pocket, and I was like, go. I started screaming to Justin to go get open, and then Sam takes off, and Justin, it was one of those, you know, get open, no block, thank you, like kind of all in the moment right there, and you're just so thankful that the players don't actually listen to you in those moments sometimes. But he had a huge block in the run game against Chicago where, okay, he had drawn 2 or 3 explosive penalties, don't go in the stat sheet. And he'd obviously, you know, made some plays to kind of trigger a lot of that momentum yesterday. But then to make that play and ensure that Sam gets the first down right there, I think it just speaks to where Justin's at, you know, in his journey, and you know, another 1,000-yard receiving year, a lot of football out in front of him, and just how he's turning into a complete player. He's always really been one, and he's so competitive, but just the poise in which he operates on game day is something that I value and tremendously respect.
Jordan doesn't
You watch as you were getting ready to sign Sam. You watched most, if not all, of his previous stuff. I'm just curious, like, as you've watched these last 3 games, like, has he ever played better?
You know, I know he had some good stretches, but I think this is when you're talking about when you add in the situation of these games too, losing an 11-point lead on the road in the division. Going to overtime and going 6-6 and a 90-yard drive for whatever it took to give Park a chance. Yesterday was, I don't know how many times he's had a game in his career where he's been down 10 plus or 13 points and you know, been able to, you know, manifest that kind of scoring. So I did not know that, but it just felt like what Sam feels like in that moment is he feels incredibly prepared. And then he feels confidence not only in the guys he's throwing to, the guys up front, but in what I feel is almost a surgical level of doing my job and not trying to do too much, but also knowing that, you know, my job might be to try to put a ball, you know, in a tight window here and there. And the confidence level of a lot of throws over the previous 11 games leads him into that moment with a split-second decision. And then let's just be honest, you know, how many throws can we all, you know, chat amongst ourselves right now and say that Sam's flat out just missed this year? There's just not a lot of them. He's thrown the ball at an incredibly high level, accuracy, you know, perfect amount of pace, layering the ball, pushing it downfield when we try to. And then, you know, I think over these last, you know, there were some real, getting back to 3 or 4 or 5 in a progression against Tennessee on some weighty downs, some check downs on some early downs where Cam Akers gets 8 yards. And then, you know, yesterday there was a couple times where check downs covered. We tried to max block up something, you know, to try to give him a clean pocket, and he takes off for a gain of 6 or 7 or 8. All those plays are just so massive, even though in the moment it just seems like another 1st and 10 down, and it's 2nd and 3, great. But when you stack them all up together, it's winning football, and that's why he's winning games and leading us to wins.
Kevin, you gave Jalen Redmond a yesterday. Obviously, he stood out to you. But when was the first time he started to pop in your eyes?
Oh, he's been. I mean, there's a reason why he made our team. I mean, it was early. He always, you know, I think the cool thing about Jalen is he always showed some unique things as a rusher, an interior rusher with some twitch and kind of what he had done previously in the other league he was in. And it was a great job. I think Griggs was the first one to kind of bring his name up And then as he went through camp, you started to see a little bit more power and ability to be rooted in the run game, but also use that athleticism to get on edges. And he's a perfect fit for our scheme with the way we move those guys up front, kind of taking gaps and things like that. So he just, sometimes with those game balls, it's just as I'm standing there, I wanted to make sure, Jonathan Gennard's getting a game ball tomorrow. Shocker, we're not going to probably video it and put it out for everybody to see, but he's going to get one tomorrow and I should have probably given him one yesterday just from his game-changing effort and the way he just left it all out there. But in regards to Jalen, I just thought it just felt him. Sometimes as a head coach, you're just feeling impactful plays and you start feeling guys' energy and juice and just highlighting. It was really cool, though, to hear the reaction of the other D linemen when we did that.
Jordan, you were talking about Justin a lot. Jordan Addison seems like he doesn't get too caught up in any one thing, that he's pretty easy going in terms of when we're with him. I don't know what he's like, receivers like stats on. You see that? I mean, because he doesn't seem like he has many bad days in terms of production, non-production, all those things.
No, I think he's just learned over time that his ops are going to come, and it's one of those things that he knows he's got to be ready when they do come, and they can come in bunches, especially when we start getting into a rhythm as an offense, and people are trying to either take Justin away, or whether it's TJ's ops that come up, or Jordan's ops, or maybe it's making those guys. We do have plays where Justin is not listed as number one in the progression. We have quite a few of them actually, and a lot of times it just comes down to those ops and winning, getting separation, and Sam's going to give you the ball, and it's simple as that. We're building. We have a ton of confidence in really anybody that we send out as an eligible right now. I have a ton of confidence. I mean, Johnny Munt catching some of these keepers and getting 18 yards on a catch and run. Josh Oliver, his impact has been huge. And that's, with TJ back now, hopefully get J.O. back in the mix with Johnny. And I think Nick Muse came in and gave us some physicality that really showed up in some limited snaps that he played. So you can tell I'm confident in our whole group. And the last guy to really highlight is I think Cam Robinson played his best game as a Viking yesterday. And that was, working through what he did and, having really drinking through the fire hose mentality of game plans kind of stacking on him. It seemed like he had played with a quieted mind and really knew what to do, and his athleticism showed up on the perimeter a few times, really physical, great usage of his hands in pass pro. So that was a huge part of why we were able to sustain, especially late in the game when you kind of go to a little bit more of a drop-back mode. I think he was huge at that left tackle spot, along with B.O. once again, playing as well as anybody in football at the right tackle spot. Thanks, guys.